Have you ever noticed how the person who hurts you the most can also feel like home? How you promise yourself, never again, but somehow end up in the same kind of love, just with a different face? What if it's not weakness? What if it's not bad luck? What if your body is remembering something your mind has forgotten? Because sometimes what we call chemistry is actually familiarity. What we call passion is an old wound being activated, and the hardest truth of all, you may not be choosing toxic love. Your nervous system might be. In this video, we're going to uncover the silent trauma shaping your relationships and why walking away can feel like losing yourself. Stay with me. This might change how you see your past and your next relationship.
When I say childhood trauma, I don't just mean the obvious things: violence, abuse, chaos. Trauma can also be what didn't happen. Maybe no one saw your sadness. Maybe no one asked what you needed. Maybe love came with conditions. Be good. Don't upset anyone. Make everyone happy. Over time, that quiet absence becomes its own kind of wound, not from what was done to you, but from what you had to shut down in yourself to stay connected. Emotional neglect is when our feelings were too much for the people who were supposed to guide us. So we learned to hide them, to smile when we were hurting, to shrink our needs so others would stay comfortable. It's not that our parents were bad people. They were often wounded too. But as children, we took their limits personally. We thought we were the problem, and we developed survival strategies: the achiever, the caretaker, the rescuer, the loner. Each of these roles once kept us safe. They helped us earn love or avoid rejection. But what once protected us can later become the very thing that traps us. We find ourselves repeating the same dynamics, choosing the same kind of pain, because our nervous system recognizes it as home. So when we look at our patterns today, we do it not with judgment, but with curiosity. Not asking, why can't I stop? But what am I still trying to protect? We, all of us, carry the echoes of what we had to survive. And when we meet those echoes with compassion instead of shame, that's when healing begins. She always said she wanted depth, real connection. Someone who could see her, not just look at her. But somehow she kept ending up with people who couldn't quite meet her there. There was Daniel, who loved her laughter but never asked why her eyes sometimes went flat in the middle of a joke. There was Marco, who said he needed space, though she was barely taking any. Each time she told herself to be more understanding, more patient, less needy, and each time she felt that familiar ache, like pressing her palms against a locked door that looked like home. In the beginning, it always felt electric. She could feel her chest open, her body remembering something it had been waiting for. But soon the silences grew longer, texts unanswered, plans postponed. She'd feel the panic rise, a tightness in her throat, a spinning in her stomach, and she'd rush to fix it, send another message, offer to come over, apologize for needing too much. One night, after Marco left her unread for 2 days, she sat alone on her couch, phone face down. She could feel two voices inside her. One said, "Walk away, you deserve more." The other whispered, "Don't make him angry, just wait." The whisper sounded so old. It almost felt like family. When she thought back, she remembered being 7, sitting at the kitchen table, trying to show her mother a drawing. Her mom was there, but not really, eyes fixed on the sink or the phone or her own exhaustion. "Not now, sweetheart," she'd say, voice flat. The message wasn't cruel, just empty. Over time, the girl learned to wait quietly, to shrink the sparkle in her eyes until someone had space for it. "Me waluz, los paragreso, que mis parisas, me was parisas, for nashut amotikonesa." Now, as an adult, she kept choosing partners who recreated that same quiet ache, people who made her work for their attention, who left her waiting for the emotional presence she never received. The waiting felt awful, but also familiar. It carried the rhythm of home. Three things become clear when we look at her story. First, the body doesn't forget what connection once felt like. It keeps searching for it, even in the wrong places. Second, early emotional misattunement. When a caregiver doesn't mirror or respond to our feelings, can teach us that love is something we have to earn. Third, when that lesson lives inside us long enough, we stop trusting safety when it finally appears. We confuse calm with boredom, distance with desire, and we call it chemistry. But every pattern, no matter how painful, is also a clue, a map drawn by the part of us that still longs to heal what was once broken. And sometimes change begins not by finding a new kind of love, but by learning to stay with the old ache just long enough to listen to what it's been trying to say. He was the kind of person everyone called dependable, always on time, always composed. His inbox was spotless, his calendar full, his voice steady. You'd never guess that beneath the calm surface, something was quietly fraying. And most nights, after long hours at work, he'd pour a drink, just one, maybe two, and scroll. Emails, news, social feeds, anything to keep the silence away. The glow of the screen softened the edges of a day that felt too sharp. Sometimes he'd tell himself he deserved it, he worked hard, he was responsible, he didn't have a problem. But if you watched closely, you'd see that what looked like control was really a form of escape. He couldn't remember the last time he truly rested. Even weekends were filled with productivity, laundry, errands, checking in on projects that didn't really need checking. When he did sit still, something heavy would rise in his chest, an ache he couldn't name. So he'd pick up the phone again, tap into a feed of other people's lives, drown the ache in motion. Once he tried to stop, no scrolling, no wine, no late night emails. By the second evening, he felt like his skin was buzzing. He couldn't sit still, couldn't focus, couldn't sleep. And that's when it hit him. This wasn't about pleasure, it was about avoidance. The busyness, the scrolling, the drinking, they weren't random habits, they were medicine. Rough, imperfect, but medicine, all the same. If you asked him why he kept doing it, he wouldn't have an answer. But if you asked about his childhood, the picture would shift. He grew up in a house where emotions were like hot stoves, dangerous to touch. When he cried, his father would say, "You're fine, toughen up." When he was angry, his mother would go silent for days. So he learned early to push his feelings down, to survive by staying composed, to earn love by performing well. As an adult, those old lessons still ran the show. He didn't know how to rest because stillness let the pain surface. He didn't know how to soothe himself because no one had taught him how. So he reached for what was available: work, screens, substances. They offered momentary comfort in a world that once felt too much. The truth is, the question isn't why the addiction, it's why the pain. What happened to make him need constant motion just to feel safe? What kind of loneliness made silence so unbearable? When we see addiction or any numbing behavior through this lens, judgment softens. We begin to see that the compulsion is not the enemy. It's the story of a nervous system doing its best to survive unbearable feelings. So the invitation isn't to fix or shame, but to wonder, when do you feel the need to numb, even a little? And what might that part of you be trying to protect? Think of your body like a house with a very sensitive smoke alarm. Its job is to keep you safe. When there was real danger, emotional or physical, It learned to react fast, heart racing, muscles tightening, breath shortening. But sometimes, after years of alerting to real fires, the alarm starts to go off even when someone just lights a candle. That's what implicit memory is. It's the body remembering what the mind can't fully recall. We might not consciously think about the moments we felt small, unseen, or unsafe, but the body keeps those experiences stored in sensation. A tone of voice, a certain silence, a familiar smell. These can quietly wake old memories, even if we have no story attached to them. It's not that we're overreacting, it's that our alarm is trying to keep us alive the only way it knows how. Imagine you get a short text from someone you love. We need to talk. Your chest tightens, your stomach flips, your mind races through everything you might have done wrong. Logically, you know it might be nothing, but your body doesn't care about logic. It remembers the feeling of waiting for the other shoe to drop, maybe from childhood moments when love felt unpredictable or conditional. That tension, that fear, it's your smoke alarm doing its job. It's saying, something once hurt me here. The hope in all this is simple. If the body learned to react, it can also learn to calm. We can teach the smoke alarm that the house is safe again. Through breath, movement, gentle awareness, and connection with safe people, the body begins to rewrite its own story. It doesn't happen overnight, but every time we stay present through a wave of old fear, without running or numbing, the alarm resets just a little. This isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Your body has been protecting you for years. Now it's simply asking for your help to remember that the fire is over. Healing begins with noticing, gently without rushing to fix. One simple place to start is with an awareness journal. For a week, jot down when you feel yourself tighten, go numb, or overextend. Note what was happening, when it happened, and who was there. This isn't about analyzing or blaming. It's about seeing the patterns your body already knows. Writing makes the invisible visible, and visibility is the first form of freedom. When something stirs you, pause for a few compassionate questions. What just got touched in me? What might this feeling be trying to protect? Does this remind me of something older? The goal isn't to solve, but to listen. Curiosity softens shame. It invites understanding where judgment once lived. Next time your body tenses, try a short somatic pause. Feel your feet on the floor. Let your breath drop lower into your belly. Look around and name 3 things you can see. This orients your nervous system to the present, reminding it that you're here now, not back there. Even 30 seconds of grounding can begin to teach safety from the inside out. This week, practice one small boundary. It could be saying, I need a moment to think about that, or turning off notifications after 9 p.m. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors that teach your nervous system it has a choice. Each time you honor one, you reinforce trust with yourself. Finally, reach toward one safe connection. It might be a trusted friend, a support group, a therapist, someone who can meet you with presence, not advice. Healing happens in relationship because our wounds began there. A steady, safe witness helps the body unlearn its loneliness. Each of these steps builds a foundation of self-trust. Awareness brings clarity, curiosity softens defense, grounding restores safety, boundaries protect energy, and connection repairs isolation. Together, they help the body remember what calm can feel like. And as always, if these practices bring up more than feels manageable, please reach out for professional support. You don't have to walk this path alone, and healing at its heart was never meant to be a solo act. Both stories, The woman chasing love that withdraws and the man numbing what he can't name are really the same story told in different languages. Both were children who learned that safety meant disconnection. Now, their bodies are simply trying to keep them alive in the only ways they know how. Healing begins not by judging these patterns, but by noticing them with tenderness. Think of it like light rising through cracked roots, slow, patient, finding its way through the dark soil. The cracks aren't failures. They're the openings where new life enters. Every moment you pause instead of react, breathe instead of brace, name instead of numb. That's light finding its way through. Change doesn't happen in leaps. It happens in small, repeated gestures of safety. A breath, a boundary, a truth spoken softly. These tiny wins count. They are how we teach our bodies again and again that it's finally safe to grow. Take a breath. Feel the ground under you. After everything you carried, just making it here is no small thing. Healing isn't a destination. It's the slow return to yourself, one honest moment at a time. You don't have to untangle your whole past. You only have to meet what arises with a little more kindness than before. This week, try one experiment. When a trigger or urge appears,